Have you ever had your neighborhood dictator target the one thing that meant everything to you? What if the HOA queen decided your grandpa's Harley was an eyesore that threatened her perfect beige kingdom? And what happens when her fake rules fail and she resorts to sending goons to steal it in the dead of night? The sun poured down on Pleasant Ridge Estates like it was trying to blind anyone who dared question the rules. Every blade of grass stood at attention, every mailbox matched the HOA-approved shade of eggshell, and every resident smiled the same plastic smile. But under that glossy surface, the real power lived in one woman's pink blazer grip. Vanessa Hargrove, president of the board, self-appointed guardian of community harmony. She spoke in soft, concerned tones at every meeting, always wrapping her power grabs in words like property values and for the children. Meanwhile, she fined you for a trash can left out 2 minutes too long or a garden gnome that didn't match the aesthetic palette she invented last Tuesday. I was Ryan Callahan, the guy who kept his head down and his tools clean. 5 years in this place and I'd watched neighbors pay up just to avoid the drama. I fixed cars for a living, came home smelling like oil and freedom, cracked open a cold one on my back porch and never bothered anyone. Until Vanessa decided my grandpa's 2006 Harley Dyna was the enemy of suburbia. That red tank, those chrome pipes, the low rumble that reminded me of Sunday rides with the old man. They didn't fit her vision of sterile perfection. So the notices started showing up in my mailbox like clockwork. First it was commercial vehicle in driveway exceeds 4-hour limit. I laughed, wrote a polite letter citing the DMV definition, attached the registration, and filed it away in my growing folder. Next came excessive noise violation. My bike had baffles quieter than the lawn service vans Vanessa hired herself. I showed up at the monthly board meeting, voice calm, papers in hand. "Ma'am," I said, sliding the decibel report across the table, "this complies with every county ordinance. No dated complaint, no proof." Vanessa leaned forward in her pink power suit, that tight smile never reaching her eyes. "Mr. Callahan, the board takes resident concerns very seriously. We'll review but the fine stands. For harmony." The other board members nodded like puppets. One lady actually whispered, "It's just easier to pay, Ryan." I didn't pay. Folder 2, tab 3. Exhibit B, selective enforcement. The fines piled up. $100 for aesthetic blight, $250 for potential fluid leak, on a bike that had never dripped a drop. Neighbors started avoiding my eyes over the fence. "Old Mrs. Door muttered once, "She's got us all scared, dear. Just pay it." But I kept my mouth shut and my camera rolling. Grandpa always said, "Never yell at a problem. Fix it with facts." So I waited, watched, and added every ridiculous letter to the file. Then came the day everything went public. I was polishing the tank when Vanessa's minivan pulled up, her son Brandon hopping out like he owned the place. 16, all hoodie and attitude, smirking like this was already his victory lap. Vanessa marched across my driveway in heels that clicked like countdown timers. 2 bored cops stood on the curb, clearly wishing they were anywhere else. "Mr." she began in that syrupy voice, "the board has approved temporary custody of this vehicle for compliance inspection. Brandon turned 17 soon. Out of sight. It's for the greater good." Brandon crossed his arms. "Anyway, it's basically mine now." The sheer gall almost made me choke on my own laugh. "Almost." Her boots planted, voice level. "Ma'am, this bike is titled in my name. No liens, no violations that hold up in court." One cop stepped forward, mustache twitching with exhaustion. "Sir, is this your motorcycle?" I handed him the laminated packet, title, registration, insurance, VIN match. He checked, snapped a photo, nodded. "Clean title, registered to Mr. Callahan. Don't create a lien without a court order, ma'am. Civil matter. But property on your say-so." Vanessa's face went the color of her blazer. The smile cracked. State. The cop cut her off, flat and final. "Bylaws aren't law, ma'am. No probable cause, no crime." Back to the cruiser. Brandon's smirk died like a popped balloon. "Mom." She hissed at me under her breath as the cops drove away. "This isn't over, Ryan. You'll learn what real authority looks like." I just nodded slowly. I already knew. Quit in daylight. They waited for darkness. That night I sat in the garage under one bare bulb, running a rag over the tank. The bike gleamed even in the dim light. I checked the tiny AirTag I'd tucked under the seat months ago, tested the garage camera angle again. Red light blinking, watching. The street outside was quiet, porch lights glowing like nothing was wrong. But I knew Vanessa. Only made her meaner. She'd come for it when she thought no one was looking. And I'd be ready. Every absurd find dated and scanned. I wasn't angry. Anger wastes energy. The clock hit 2:17 a.m. My phone buzzed, motion alert. A tow truck backed silently into my driveway. No lights, engine barely whispering. 2 figures in hoodies slipped out, faces hidden. One kept watch while the other slid a long metal rod under the garage door, fishing for the emergency release. Click. Just enough, wheeled my Harley out like ghosts. Straps quick and professional. Door lowered, street silent again. My heart stayed steady. Cold clarity. This wasn't bylaws anymore. And I had every second on camera. I saved the high-def footage, zoomed on the dirty plate, wrote the numbers down. Then I opened the Find My app. I grabbed my keys, jacket, and followed in my truck, staying blocks back, headlights off where I could. The tow truck headed to the old abandoned strip mall on the edge of town, that sad stretch of boarded windows and weed-choked lots where things go to disappear. I parked a block away, crept in on foot, phone recording through a fence crack. They unstrapped the bike, pushed it behind a graffiti-covered dumpster like trash. My grandpa's bike. Out of anger hit once, then I pushed it down. Methodical. The truck rumbled away. Every angle. Then I walked back, breathing steady. The first part of her plan was done. The bike was gone. I didn't call 911 right away. A stolen bike report at 3 a.m. Gets you a case number and a yawn. I needed an airtight package, video, plate trace, AirTag trail, everything. By sunrise I had it. A tow company run by Vanessa's own cousin. Public records made that connection in 10 minutes. I printed the stills, burned a DVD of the full garage cam footage showing the theft in crystal detail, and added the AirTag pings mapping straight to that dumpster lot. Folder now had a new tab. Exhibit Z felony. I waited until the next emergency HOA meeting she called herself, something about recent disturbances threatening our values. The community hall was packed, neighbors shifting uncomfortably in folding chairs. Vanessa stood at the podium in fresh pink, smiling like a saint. "We must remain united against elements that disrupt our harmony," she cooed. I walked in last, folder under my arm, laptop ready. The room went quiet when I set the projector up without asking. "Before we talk harmony," I said calmly, "let's talk about what happened to my motorcycle last night." I hit play. Night vision footage. The tow truck, the hooded men, my Harley being wheeled out like loot. Gasps rippled through the crowd. That's not. I cut in, voice still even. "License plate traces to your cousin's company, Vanessa. AirTag shows exactly where they dumped it, behind the dumpster at the old mall. I have GPS proof, timestamps, everything. And the police are already on their way with a warrant based on what I handed them an hour ago." Brandon, sitting in the front row, turned pale. "Mom, you said it was just borrowing for inspection." The room erupted in whispers. "Old Mrs. First. You fine me $50 for my flag being 2 inches too high, but you steal a man's family heirloom?" One by one, the cowards found their spines. The board members who always rubber-stamped her suddenly remembered they had morals. Vanessa sputtered. "This is a misunderstanding. I was protecting property values. The bike was a nuisance." Her voice cracked, that polished mask shattering into something ugly and desperate. You people don't understand the pressure I'm under. I just shrugged. Defy grand theft. The cops are outside now. 2 officers walked in right on cue, the same ones from the driveway standoff. They cuffed the cousin they'd already picked up at the mall with my bike loaded in his truck. Vanessa's eyes went wide as the room turned on her. Phones came out, neighbors filming her meltdown. I did it for the children, she shrieked as they led her away for questioning. Brandon sat there crying like the spoiled kid he was. The board voted her out on the spot, unanimous, first time anything was unanimous in years. By afternoon my Harley was back in the driveway, chrome shining brighter than ever. The AirTag came out but the cameras stayed. Neighbors waved again, some even apologized over the fence. We were scared, they said. Lines against me? Wiped. Vanessa's little empire of beige terror collapsed overnight. She resigned the next day, citing personal reasons, but everyone knew. The local news ran the story. Grainy footage of her being questioned went viral in our little corner of the internet. HOA president caught in midnight bike heist read the headline. Darkly funny how the woman who preached rules broke the biggest one of all. I sat on my porch that evening, cold beer in hand, Grandpa's bike rumbling softly in the garage just because I could. The street looked the same, lawns perfect, houses beige, but something had shifted. The fear was gone. Easier. Turns out all it took was one guy who refused to fold and a little tech to remind everyone. Petty tyrants only win until someone documents the truth. In the end, HOA Karens like Vanessa thrive because most of us stay quiet to keep the peace. But peace built on stolen freedom isn't peace at all. Stay calm, keep every receipt, and when they cross into real crime, hand them the rope they braided themselves. Your grandpa's bike, and your dignity, aren't up for negotiation. Ever.